So let's start the today's lecture. Lecture is again on architecture of microprocessor 8085. And in that lecture, today we have covered some topics. First is a review of lecture number 7, then timing and control unit. Next content is the stack memory, stack top and stack pointer. And the last content of this lecture is the pin diagram of microprocessor 8085. So in previous lecture, we study about the instruction register, instruction decoder and program counter. And we know how the instructions in the programs are executed by using that three blocks, instruction decoder, instruction register and program counter. So now today we discuss about the timing and control unit. So this block we are now discuss timing and control unit. So what is the use of timing and control unit? The name itself indicates that timing and control means whatever be the signals related with the timing and control, all signals are generated by using that unit, and that unit is named as timing and control unit. So in timing and control unit, nothing but the CPU is available, and for the necessary operation, whatever be the timing and control signals are required, that all control signals and timing signals which are necessary for the execution of instruction that are generated by using that unit is called as the timing and control unit. It also controls the data flow. The data flow is nothing but reading and writing operation between the CPU and peripherals. Similarly, in related with the memory and I/O devices, peripherals are nothing but the external devices that are nothing but the memory and I/O devices. So the data flow between the CPU and peripherals are also controlled by using the timing and control unit. So it provides the status control and timing signals which are required for the operation of memory and I/O devices. So thus it controls the complete operation of microprocessor and peripheral. So whatever be the signals are required for performing the operation, that all timing and control signals are generated by using that timing and control unit. Going to the next topic, that is the stack memory, stack top and stack pointer. So that block is also available in that architecture block diagram. So we have covered these blocks: accumulator, temporal register, arithmetic logic unit, flag, this instruction register, instruction decoder, the general purpose registers along with temporal register W and Z we are covered. Now we are going towards the another block, stack pointer. That block is represented here, stack pointer. Now we are discuss what is meant by stack pointer and stack memory. So stack pointer is related with the stack memory. So that's why we are first of all discuss what is meant by stack memory. In previous lecture we study about the simple memory structure. इसके पहले हमने simple memory structure देखे थे. And in simple memory what we are doing? One memory location is there, and in that memory location we are storing the content. But how we are storing the content? We are storing the content from top to the bottom. हम कैसे स्टोर करते थे? पहला कंटेंट अगर आपको स्टोर करना है तो हम सबसे फर्स्ट मेमोरी लोकेशन में वो कंटेंट फिलअप करते थे. आफ्टर दैट नेक्स्ट मेमोरी कंटेंट इज स्टोर्ड इन द अनदर मेमोरी लोकेशन, दैट इज 000H के बाद नेक्स्ट कंटेंट आता था हमारा 0001H में. After that, again the next content we are fill up in the another next memory location, that is 002H. This is the simple memory location, simple memory structure. यह है simple memory का filling का structure. While there is somewhat difference between simple memory and stack memory. Now we are discuss what is the difference between simple memory and stack memory. Simple memory में हम data fill up करते थे top to bottom. While in the stack memory, we are store the data from bottom to the top. Data हम bottom से top में store करते जाएंगे. That is the difference between simple memory and stack memory. Stack memory में हम data सबसे पहला data bottom most memory location में जाएगा. After that, the next data is filled after the next memory location. So in this way we are storing the data in terms of stack. Simple example we have taken for the defining that stack memory. आपने स्टैक ऑफ प्लेट्स देखा होगा, जब भी हम बफे में कोई पार्टी में जाते हैं वहाँ पे जब खाना लेते हैं तो उस टाइम वहाँ पे नंबर ऑफ प्लेट्स रखी रहती है, स्टैक ऑफ प्लेट्स आर अवेलेबल देयर। अब स्टैक ऑफ प्लेट्स जब उनको अरेंज करना है तो उस टाइम वो कैसे अरेंज करते हैं, सबसे पहले नीचे में एक प्लेट रखी जाएगी, उसके ऊपर दूसरी प्लेट, देन थर्ड प्लेट, देन फोर्थ प्लेट। इन दिस वे द पर्टिकुलर पर्सन विल अरेंज द स्टैक ऑफ द प्लेट। Here also in stack memory also in the same manner we are storing the data। सबसे पहले बॉटम मोस्ट मेमोरी लोकेशन में हम डेटा स्टोर करेंगे। फर्स्ट लोकेशन बॉटम मोस्ट लोकेशन, जैसे हमने माइक्रोप्रोसेसर 8085 में देखा था, when we are defining the memory structure we are calculate the how many number of memory locations are available with the MIPI 8085। total 64 kilobytes we are storing, and the memory location hexadecimal address is starting from 000H and last memory location address is ending with FFFH। So in stack memory the first memory content is stored in the bottommost memory location. That's why here x1 I have stored in the bottommost memory location FFFH। Now I have the another content that is x2. If you want to store the another content x2, at that time we are storing that content above FFFH। So FFFH के above में कौन सा memory location है, FFFEH। So that's why the second content is stored above the x1। So the address of that x2 is nothing but FFFEH। Similarly, if you want to again store the next content, you are store that content above the x2 that is in the place of x3। and इसी तरीके से अगर हम एड्रेस वन बाय वन डिक्रीज करते जाएंगे तो इन दिस वे एक्सटेंड टाइप ऑफ कंटेंट वी आर स्टोरिंग इन द लास्ट मेमोरी लोकेशन that is 000H। So in this way in stack memory we are storing the data from bottom to the top, while in the simple memory we are storing the data from top to the bottom। So this is the difference between stack memory and simple memory and stack memory। Now the next point is covered, that is the what is mean by stack top and stack pointer। stack top किसको कहा जाएगा, हम यहाँ पे डेटा फिलअप कर रहे हैं, डेटा फिलअप करने के बाद जो भी लास्ट मेमोरी लोकेशन में हम डेटा डालने वाले हैं दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द स्टैक टॉप। द कंटेंट इनसाइड दैट लास्ट मेमोरी लोकेशन इज कॉल्ड एज द स्टैक टॉप। अब हमने नीचे से यहाँ पे डेटा फिलअप करते हुए लेके आए हैं, x1 we are put in the FFFH, then x2 likewise xn number of dash number of data, xn number of data we are stored in the 000H। So this xn is nothing but the stack top। topmost memory location, topmost content inside that memory location, that content is called as your stack top। And what is mean by stack point, जो लास्ट मेमोरी लोकेशन में हमने जो लास्ट कंटेंट डाला है उसका एड्रेस, the content of that address memory location address that is 000H is available in the stack pointer। means memory location address is available in the stack pointer while the content of that memory location is present in the stack top, or the content of that memory location is called as the stack top। So are you getting what is meant by stack memory, stack top and stack pointer? Stack memory is the same memory in which we are storing the content from bottom to the top, that memory is called as the stack memory, while the simple memory is the memory in which we are storing the content from top to the bottom। So that memory location, such memory is called as the simple memory। Stack top is nothing but the last memory content which is stored in the stack memory that represented by a stack top। सबसे ऊपर की प्लेट को हम कहेंगे stack top। Similarly here the last the uppermost filled memory location content is called as the stack top, while the memory location address of that filled content that is called as the stack pointer। The memory location address of that filled memory that is available in the stack pointer, and this 000H is available in the stack pointer. Suppose I have not stored content xn in that 00H. हमारे पास ये तीन ही कंटेंट रहते थे स्टैक मेमोरी में. In such case, the stack pointer having the address 0001H and stack top represented by the x3. Suppose this content is also you are not stored in that stack memory. Only these two content are available in the stack memory. In such case, x2 represent the stack top and FFFE represent address. That address is represented in the stack pointer. So this is about the stack memory and stack top and stack point. Now going to the next topic, that is the pin diagram of microprocessor 8085. So in pin diagram of microprocessor 8085, we are getting the another features that this MIPI 8085 having the 40 pins, and that's why MIPI 8085 is a 40 pin IC. So in that 40 pin IC, one by one we are covered the different pins which are available with the microprocessor 8085. So first pin we are described, that pins are from A15 to A8. Simultaneously we are covered the 8 pins, A15 to A8. Since the arrow indicates towards the outside, means that pins are the output pins. So A15 to A8 are the output pins, and in buses we are already described A15 to A8 and AD7 to AD0. A15 to A8 are the upper address lines and AD7 to AD0 are the lower address line. So on these pins A15 to A8, we are transferring the 8-bit upper address of memory on, we are transferring on A15 to A8. While this AD7 to AD0, here the arrow indicates that inward as well as outward. Means these pins AD7 to AD0 are used as input pins as well as output pins. So when it is used as the input pins and when it is used as the output pins, that we are discussing here now. Since this AD7 to AD0 are the time shared pins that we are already discussing the demultiplexing of address and databases. So these are the time shared pins, means on one time we are transferring the 8-bit lower address of memory on that pin, while at another time interval we are transferring the 8-bit of data on that pin. So when we are transferring the 8-bit lower address of memory on that pins, at that time that pins acts as a output pin. क्योंकि जैसे ये A15 to A8 है, these are also the output pins on which also we are transferring the 8-bit upper address of memory. Similarly, when on these pins we are transferring the 8-bit lower address of memory, at that time these pins acts as a output. While when you are transferring the data may be transferred to the microprocessor, or data is taken from the microprocessor to the any other devices. So that's where the data pins are bidirectional. Data pins हमेशा bidirectional रहती है. Data buses is also the bidirectional. That's why when data is transferring, that pins acts as the input as well as output pins depending upon the type of operation performed by the MIPI. So in this way, on these 16 pins, we are transferring the 8-bit upper address and 8-bit lower address, as well as we are transferring the 8-bit data on that line. After these pins, we are going towards the next pin, that is called as the clock out pin. So what is the use of that clock out pin? So since again here the arrow indicates towards the outside, means this clock out pins is nothing but the output pin. So it is the output pins, and in many applications some digital ICs required clock signals to drive their set. So these clock signals for driving the digital ICs are generated by using the clock out pin. माइक्रोप्रोसेसर से कनेक्टेड जो डिजिटल आईसीस रहेंगे, वो डिजिटल आईसीस को ड्राइव करने के लिए वी रिक्वायर सम क्लॉक सिग्नल्स to drive that ICs, and that clock signals are generated by using that clock out pin. Getting? Means For driving the digital ICs which are connected with the microprocessor 8085, the clock signals are required, and that clock signals we are generated by using that clock out pin. Going towards the power supply pins, that is the pin number 40 VCC and pin number 20, that is VSS. So that these two are the power supply pins, and through these pins we are transferring the 5 volt and ground to the microprocessor 8085. So 5 volt we are transferring from VCC, while through the VSS we are transferring the ground, and both are the input pins. Here arrow are not given, but both are the input pins. Now going to the next pins, that is pin number 1 and pin number 2, X1 and X2. X1 and X2, these two pins are arrow indicate that these are the inward arrow. Inward arrow means these are the input pins. So there is some difference between X1 and X2 and clock out. अब हम देखेंगे कि X1 and X2 का यूज क्या है और clock out pins का तो ऑलरेडी मैंने यहाँ पे डिस्क्राइब कर दिया. So these are the input pins, and these pins are used for clock signals required for the microprocessor. For the clock cycle which is required for the MUP is obtained through this X1 and X2 pin. We are already discussed that in microprocessor 8085, whenever we are transferring the address or data, that are transferred in terms of time signals, and for time signals we are generating some clock pulses. So that clock pulses are given through these input pins X1 and X2. So these are the input pins, and clock cycle required for the MUP is obtained through these input pins, that is X1 and X2, and by using the external crystal oscillator we are generating that clock pulses and given to the microprocessor. So difference between X1 and X2 and clock out pin is that for microprocessor the clock signal are generated by using that two pins X1 and X2, while this clock out pins, pin number 37, to drive the another ICs which are connected with the microprocessor 8085, the clock signals are required. That clock signals are generated by using the क्लॉक आउट पिन. क्लॉक आउट पिन से जो दूसरे आईसीज है जो माइक्रोप्रोसेसर के साथ कनेक्टेड है, उस आईसीज को क्लॉक सिग्नल देने का काम क्लॉक आउट पिन करेगा. व्हाइल टू द माइक्रोप्रोसेसर वी आर रिक्वायर्ड सम क्लॉक सिग्नल्स, एंड दैट clock signals are generated by using the X1 and X2 pins by using external crystal oscillator. Going to the another pin, that is the pin number 36, that is reset in bar. Here bar is given, reset in bar. So assume that reset in bar is equal to 0. Whenever the bar is there, 0 is given, means it is activate the pin. So when the reset in bar is equal to 0, the name itself indicates that the reset means when this reset in bar is equal to 0, it reset the program counter to 0. It also reset the interrupt pins and HLDA flip-flop. When this signal reset in bar pin is equal to 0, at that time it resets the program counter to 0. Also it resets the interrupt pin of microprocessor 8085 and HLDA flip-flop. But it does not affect any other flags or any other register except the instruction register. समझ में है? यहाँ पे when reset in bar is equal to 0, program counter is become resetted, then interrupt pins are also resetted, then HLDA flip-flop is also resetted, but it does not affect the any other flags as well as any other register except the instruction register. Why the instruction register is resetted? Because since the program counter is resetted and program counter, instruction register and instruction decoder are correlated with each other. So that's why when reset in bar is equal to 0, it resets the instruction register. In such case, the CPU is held in reset condition as long as the reset is applied. And if reset in bar is equal to 1, then there is no any effect on any registers and any instruction register also or any interrupt pin also. This pins is all whenever activate when it is equal to the 0 and it is the input pins, and when it is equal to 0 our program counter, interrupt pins, HLDA flip-flops are are resetted, and no other flags and other registers, that is the general purpose register or the accumulator, these are all the registers that are not affected by this pin status. Only the program counter, interrupt pins, HLDA flip-flop and instruction registers are affected when this reset in bar is equal to 0. Going to the pin reset out. Reset in is the input pin, while if you are observed, this pin number 3 is the output pin, reset output pin. So, through this pin we are check whether your microprocessor is in reset condition or not. That can be checked by using the status of that pin. माइक्रोप्रोसेसर को रीसेट करने के लिए हम पिन 36 यूज कर रहे हैं, और वो माइक्रोप्रोसेसर रीसेट कंडीशन में है या नहीं, that can be checked by using the reset out pin. So this is the output pin, and through this pin we are check whether our microprocessor is in reset condition or in the active condition. Going to the another pin, that is S1 and S0, 33 pin and 29 number pin, S1 and S0. These two pins are called as the status pins and both are the output pins. Here both are the output pins. Here arrow is not indicated, but this is the output pin. S1 is also output pin and S0 are output pin. So what is the use of that pins that we are said? Since S1 and S0 are the status pins, means nothing but the status of the operation can be described by using that two pins, S1 and S0. So what type of operations that can be described by using that two pins? So suppose this S0 and S1 and this column indicate the operation. If S0 is 0 and S1 is 0, if both the numbers are 0 0, means on that pins if 0 0 is available, it indicates that microprocessor is in the halt condition. So such type of operations are performed when S1 and S0 are becomes 0 0. While on the status pin the numbers are available, S0 is equal to 0 and S1 is equal to 1. In such case the microprocessor performs the writing type of operation. Microprocessor can perform writing type of operation. It may be concerned with the memory or it may be concerned with the input-output device. So, when status pins are 0, 1, in such case, some UP can perform the writing operation. While if S0 is equal to 1 and S1 is equal to 0 are available on that status pin, in such case, the microprocessor can perform the reading type of operation. And if both the pins are 1 1, in such case the microprocessor can perform opcode fetch type of operation. All these three operations we are already discussed: opcode fetch operation, reading operation and writing operation. So when on S0 and S1 both are 1 1, in such case opcode fetch operation is performed, while when 1 0 is available then it performs the reading operation, 0 1 then writing operation, and if both the inputs are 0 0 then it indicates the halt operation. So on the basis of input available on that pins, we are described the microprocessor can perform which type of operation. Getting? So we are now cover the status pins X1 and X2. Now going to the another pin, that is IO oblique M bar and RD bar and WR bar. That are the control pins. Control signals are given through this pin, that is IO oblique M bar, RD bar and WR bar. And control signals or control basis we are already discussed. RD bar is stand for reading, WR bar stands for writing, IO oblique M bar stands for input output or memory related operation. So all these three control signals are correlated with each other. Now going to the another pin, that is the ready pin. This pin is again important pin for microprocessor. Arrow indicates that inward side, means it is again the input pin. Microprocessor can perform the data transfer between peripherals and itself if ready is equal to 1. If on the pin ready is equal to 1, then the peripherals which are connected with the microprocessor that are ready to perform the data transfer between microprocessor and that particular peripheral. अगर इस पिन के ऊपर 1 है, it indicates that whatever be the peripherals are connected with the MUP that are ready to transfer the content or transfer the data with the microprocessor. While if this pin is equal to 0, if on that pin is equal to 0, then it indicates that peripherals are not ready to transfer any data between microprocessor and their device. So through this we are check whether our peripherals are ready to transfer the data with the MUP or not, and if the ready is equal to 1 means on that pin if it is equal to 0, if it is equal to 1 then peripherals are ready to transfer any content with the MUP, while if ready is equal to 0, in such case peripherals are not ready to transfer any content with the MUP. In such case the microprocessor is goes into the wait state. उस केस में microprocessor wait state में चला जाएगा, कुछ देर तक वो रुकेगा और जब ready pin के ऊपर 1 आ जाएगा then the data is transferred between MUP and peripheral. Getting? So we have covered almost all the pins from that side from 21 to 40 except hold and HLD. So these two pins we are covered in DMA controller. जब हम DMA controller स्टडी करेंगे उस टाइम ये पिंस हम डिस्कस करेंगे वहाँ पे. Simultaneously on राइट साइड फ्रॉम 1 to 20 यहाँ पे अगर पिंस नंबर हम देख रहे हैं वी आर कवर्ड VSS to AD0, then X1, X2 and resetter. We are remain SOD, SID and trap and up to the INTR. All pins are related with the interrupt and separate unit is available with our syllabus, that is unit number 4. The topic is the interrupt in which we are studying all these pins. That's why we are not taken that pins now. इसका डिस्क्रिप्शन हम अभी नहीं ले रहे क्योंकि जो सेपरेट यूनिट है इंटरप्ट का उस इंटरप्ट के यूनिट में हम उसका डिटेल में स्टडी करने वाले हैं. एंड व्हेन वी आर स्टडी दैट पिंस इन डिटेल यू आर गेटिंग everything about that pins. So that's why now we are leave some pins that are from SOD to INTA and HOLD and HLDA. These pins are remain and these pins we are covered in the topics which we are covered in the unit number 4 and unit number 5. So with this we are completed the pin diagram of microprocessor 8085. So with this I stop here. Have a nice day.